There's a tendency among the European VCs to take a large chunk of the startup and sit around the table and then do backseat driving.
Yes, take a
larger share. That's not VC investing, that's not venture capital. We forget what is the difference between PE and VC. That is a PE investing. When you take a 20% stake and you sit around the table and you do backseat driving and tell the founders where to go, what to do, and then by the time they are 300 million, 350 million, you just take them to the cleaners and sell them off and flip them out, take your money. A real VC will never take controlling stake. They never run with the... They never run with the cranky baby. So they will be 20% or less, or even 10% or less, 5% or less, and will dilute from there. That mindset has to come in. Similarly, from the founders' mindset, which is now happening these days very much in Europe. Earlier, the founders were willing to flip for anything. But today, I am seeing entrepreneurs who are saying, no, I am here for a long run. I am here for a unicorn. I am here to become a decacorn. We believe in the founder and their ability to make things happen. We give them contacts and connections on a reverse inquiry basis, but we do not micromanage them, or if they are failing, we do not remove them and bring in a new board and a new management and try to shore up the company and turn around. Neither do we have a short play. That means 3 years, 5 years, we will flip it and go. Here the play is longer. The longer, because we are a minority shareholder, the bigger you become. If you become a 500 million from 10 million, I get X return. But if I wait for another 1 year, you will become an unicorn. Another 2 years, you will become a decacorn. So then my returns will exponentially grow. So we are in for, if you list further, we will grow. So that's where we look for long plays. Like you will see in our portfolio, there are companies which got listed and we haven't sold them yet because they still have a lot of play left in them. So that's the VC play. It doesn't matter whether it's early, late, today, tomorrow. As I said, our tagline is "World is our oyster." So wherever the best work is happening is where we try to go in. And we have been to Israel basically because it is really, really tech defensible. It's deep tech. And if you see most of our Israeli portfolios, they are in cybersecurity. If you look at our world, the software is eating our world. But while you are writing commercial softwares, there has hardly been any focus or investment in protecting those softwares from cyber attacks. And this is something Israel has been always doing, and they have been always been a forerunner in them. And that is where we had landed, and if you see most of them are there. And then comes medtech and things like that. The second draw that comes from Israel, for us to be in Israel, is that Israelis also realize that it's a very small country. So then for the good ones, their first port of call is America. And that's where, it fits into the whole ball game. I think it all depends on how active or passive the government investments are all about. Like when we are doing the SGI kind of investment, it doesn't need to be inbound. I will give you two main instances. They are really very low touch and there is very little strings attached. The two main strings that I can think of is that they should not do any activity which is detrimental to the country, and they should not be in the list of activities which are not allowed or not permitted. Like for example, they should not be dealing in cannabis and those kind of startups, because that's not something Singapore allows. So these are two main caveats that the government has. Government is selective before they give the money, but once they give the money, I think they have been extremely supporting. Look at this black swan event like COVID. I think half of the Singaporean startup ecosystem would have collapsed if the government support would not have been there. And they literally stood behind many companies. They came up with new schemes and programs that were out of turn, out of time to support and to tide over that situation. I think those are very, very useful to give the confidence into the ecosystem. It's like, when there is a global financial crisis, the central banks went in and bought back whatever assets the banks had, otherwise the banking system would have collapsed. The same way, I think those are very helpful. But at the same time, I think at some point in time, yes, if you look at the main markets where the real works are happening, like in America, there's hardly any support, and it's a very, very vibrant place. That's where we have to eventually move into.